Yeah, I think the
there we
stream
go.
is
There we go. Okay. So we're all set. All new play stuff here in the studio. So little by little, we're getting used to it. Greg, we are live on facebook.com/Armed American Radio, and I'll let you do your thing and tell people where they can participate in the chat. Fun part is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're participating in the chat and commenting on any of the platforms, we can see all of your commentary here in the studio. So have at it. If you've got something good to say, by all means, don't hold back. Everybody knows Neil can talk about just about anything, and I believe Neil is live in Washington, D.C. today. If he's not, he'll let us know that when we get him in here. But Greg, go ahead and do your thing, and we'll get cracking with Neil McCabe.
Sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can find us over on X at AARMark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And lastly, if you'd like to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
You got to love the guys in the chat. Got to love the chats. No sound. No sound. Sound now. There we go. They'll always let us know. And I love you guys for doing that. Thank you. Okay. So it's a default setting that we had to change.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah. Welcome in Susie. Welcome in Brandon. Welcome in Cecil. Welcome in Martin. Welcome in all you guys. And Martin, I got your text message. Just want to let you know, I just didn't get it until late. So there you have it. I'll reach out to you. I appreciate you getting in touch with me. Guys, we love our listeners. We definitely do. Neil McCabe, welcome to the program. Redstate.com, redstate.com. Neil is losing his Boston accent. Said nobody ever really but me, so that's just for fun. How you doing? Neil?
Fantastic, and I guess I can make it official. I don't know if we talked about it, but I joined Real America's Voice last week, and so I'm calling you now from the grounds of the White House.
So you are on. That's what I thought. I had that on the banner, and I didn't think that you left to go home. I thought for sure you'd still be in Washington, D.C. So we have a lot to talk with you about today. I want to cover a lot of what's going on in D.C., but I also want to spend what might seem to be an inordinate amount of time, but it's not really, on what's going on in Minnesota. This is a really bad situation. It's getting worse.
Yes.
You've been a guest on this program for many, many, many years. You and I have made many predictions together on this show. Probably 7 out of 10 of them have come true. I had a conversation with my wife this morning. You know my wife. She was very, very concerned about what's happening in Iran, more so than anything else. When I reminded her she'd be better off being more concerned about what's happening at this point here in the United States, particularly in Minnesota. So, Neil, let's go there. And you're on the grounds of the White House. I know it's a talk in Washington, D.C. Tim Walz is a moron. He is egging on trouble, as is Jacob Fry. What's happening here? What's the sense at the White House right now?
Well, the sense of the White House is full speed ahead. The mission in Minnesota is to take the illegal immigrant criminals off the streets because the Biden administration waived 20 million in, and nobody vetted them, nobody checked them, nobody knew who they were. Everybody was given a slip of paper that said, come back for a hearing in 5 years. And then they were off to the races. And so now you basically have this crime wave. And, you know, there's a phrase some of your listeners be familiar with called military-aged males.
Mm-hmm.
And military-aged males are a very volatile demographic in any society. And so not only are these guys, you know, rapists and murderers and kidnappers and drug runners and gun runners and everything else, but you also have, you know, the specter of paramilitaries and people who have military training and are linked to foreign enemies who are now burrowed inside American society as moles. And we don't even know who they are, and we don't know when they're going to spring up. And so the idea is to go into these cities and towns and clear out the criminals, because the local authorities refuse to cooperate with federal immigration officials. So what you have is so let's say if a murderer is being held in a jail in Minnesota, when that person is being released, they're supposed to notify the federal government that this illegal immigrant murderer has completed their sentence and they're going to be released, so that they can be then transferred to federal custody to then be deported or whatever federal charges await them. Instead, the state officials in all of the blue states basically unleash these guys onto the streets, and they do no cooperation and no communication with federal immigration officials. And it's like, and that's just the way it goes. And what it really comes down to, Mark, and I'll stick the landing here, is that you have a group of people in this country who want to exploit these illegals as wage slaves. They don't want to mow their own lawn. They don't want to wash their own dishes. They don't want to clean their own gutters. They don't want to brush down their own horses. They don't want to pay an American what it costs to build a house. They don't want to pay an American what it costs to have a stable boy or someone to clean their pool. And what you literally have is you have Americans who can't find a job or have trouble finding a decent job with a decent wage. And you have all these illegals who are sucking up all these jobs. And so you have these people in Minnesota, but you see them all over the blue states. If you threaten their access to illegal wage slaves, they go nuts, because these guys don't want to shovel their own lawn, shovel their own driveway. They don't want to pay an American to watch their kids. It's like they've become addicted to these illegal wage slaves, and it's a whole lifestyle for them, Mark.
Neil, I believe you, but I believe that's only part of the problem. I don't think that's the problem. There are not enough jobs for them, period. I'm sorry, there aren't. And we've got a ton of them that aren't working. So my question is this: beyond the illegal wage slave, why is a guy like Jacob Fry, why is a guy like Tim Waltz he makes a buffoon of himself every time he opens his mouth, simply because he's an absolute buffoon. Fun to watch the buffoonery coming from the man. If it were not for the fact that the man is governor of the state of Minnesota, which is in the toilet right now. We know what's going on with all the fraud. We'll talk about that too. It's all tied together. But why? Why? I find it hard to believe that Biden opened the borders simply because people's lawns need cut. I don't believe that. There's more to this.
These are obnoxious leftists. They're upper middle class culture. They may not have the money of upper middle class, but they all went to the right schools. They all came from the right families, and they have an attitude. They have they have a class consciousness, and they think that Trump voters are garbage, and they want to replace Trump voters with compliant and obedient wage slaves.
Oh, wait a minute. But hold on. You mentioned something interesting. I know we're going to take a break, and when we do, we'll come back to this topic for sure. They want to replace Trump supporters with the wage slaves. Well, they're illegal. They can't vote. Okay.
Good one.
All right.
Oh, sure. They can't be on juries either.
Right. Well, this is where we're going to go here. What they can do is get driver's licenses and pull out in front of my daughter with an Illinois driver's license here in the state of Georgia and nearly kill her. They can do that because that happened just this past year. And my daughter was lucky to do that.
And it's a class loyalty. It is a class consciousness, a class loyalty. So that no matter, you can tell them all the horror stories about their illegal friends, and they don't care. They do not care, because it's us and them, and they will dismiss any crime, any monstrous act, any horrible thing that happens that their wage slave friends do. Right, is all forgiven. They're the MS-13, the Latin Kings. They don't care.
All right. Well, let's stop there. We're taking a break, and that you went right now. That's what I love about you, Neil. That's where I was going to go, because their friends include some of the worst criminals this country has ever seen. And when we come back with Neil McCabe, we'll continue to talk about it. We'll tie it to our Second Amendment rights and freedoms, because it is all tied together, ladies and gentlemen. The fact of the matter is there are enemies of freedom out there. You're watching them on news, whatever ones you're watching, every single day. We'll be right back with Neil at the White House. The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The National Rifle Association doing very difficult work out there right now, believe me, fighting in Virginia and fighting in these blue states. And it is an ongoing battle. And the NRA can't do it without you and can't do it without me. Okay, all of us as individuals make up the National Rifle Association, and we need your support. Begging you for just 1 year. You can go 3, you can go 5, you can go life. Please do. I'm 5 years on my last renew, and you can do the same thing. And it's cheap. It's about $125 to go 5 years. That's it. That's 5 years for $125. You can go 3 years for $85. You can go 1 year for $35. But I'm going to ask you if you would do that because we need your support over there. And as you hear the conversations every single day, 6 days a week on this broadcast, the National Rifle Association, new management, Wayne is gone, the whole team, and we need your support. They need your support. So please join us. I say us because we are all in this fight together, ladies and gentlemen. All of us together make up the National Rifle Association. You can visit them at nra.org/AAR. Now, many of you are wondering, where's that range bag? They are way backed up. They're getting them out piecemeal. There was a staff furlough. Okay, so it's taking a little bit more time. Just hang in there. I promise that they're coming, and we will give you the name of the winner. In fact, I think we might have the name of the winner. I'm just not ready to announce it now. I'll probably announce it on Sunday's broadcast. All right, so welcome back in. All of this being supported by the National Rifle Association and presented by the NRA. We're looking forward to working with them very, very closely, and we'll be at the NRA convention again in Houston this upcoming year. You're back in the CZ studios with me. The Patriot Mobile mic is lit up here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. Let's get back to Neil McCabe. All right, Neil,
Hey.
Bud, let's go back to this because, I mentioned that I believe you're correct in your assessment, but there's more to this. So let's go back to the gang members. Let's go back to the criminals. I've seen the videos of CBS News following ICE during the Obama years with ICE doing the exact same thing in the same cities. No outcry.
Right.
No riots, no nothing. So just real quick question. Is it Trump?
Yeah. And it's almost like a tribal rivalry, right? Our tribe, their tribe. And so whatever Trump does is wrong, and whatever Obama does is phenomenal. And that's just the way it is.
Even when they're throwing out their friends.
Well, remember what Obama was doing was kind of like pretend. He would do some high profile stuff, but the vast majority of Obama's deportation, right? You remember they were calling him the deporter in chief.
Right.
They were counting turnarounds at the border as a deportation.
Right.
So, I mean, it was the numbers are kind of phony, but Obama was smart enough to understand that the American public didn't want the borders opened up. And so he needed to present himself as tough on immigration, even if he wasn't, but the Biden team they were just so disconnected because the Biden White House was, it was like the Flying Dutchman. It was like this ghost ship. No one was in charge.
So when they lied to us every single day in front of the microphones, we could see with our own eyes what was happening in Eagle Pass, Texas. We could see it. Greg in Dallas, would you jump in here? Hold on one second. Greg in Dallas, would you jump in here with me? You live in Texas.
I do.
And I'd like to get an idea from you over the Biden years, what Texans were saying while your borders south of you at 3 different locations, mainly I'd go around the Laredo border, but El Paso, Eagle Pass.
McAllen.
I mean, these border crossings, I've been to most of these border crossings, okay? I've crossed a few of them myself. We saw what was happening. What were Texans thinking and saying in Texas that wasn't getting out nationally when that was occurring day after day after day? With the exception, obviously, we know Abbott was sending them where they are now, which was a beautiful thing.
Right.
But what were Texans saying?
I'm sure a lot of Texans were saying a lot of different things. Some I can't say on the air, although we all probably agree with the sentiment. We felt like we were being overrun. traffic was increasing, people in grocery stores was increasing, people in just in general, and it's still this way here. Our traffic it's seemingly doubled in the past 5 years. The highways are always packed. There's always a traffic jam on major highways until late in the evenings, mornings, even on Saturdays and Sundays. You run into traffic on the highways. So we recognize that all these people are coming in. We also realize that they are abusing charities in order to get funding and get money and get fake legal status into the country. So we know that resources are being used that we're paying into, and we're incredibly upset about that, to say the least. And there was a lot of talk about, we should be lined up along the border and not allowing them to step 1 foot into the country by all means necessary. And so we were very on high alert, but we were also siding with our governor, sending these people to other states to where they can deal with the problem, and then it can be a blue state problem versus our entire state problem.
Which is what happened. Neil, when you hear this, from a resident of the state, first of all, Greg, you made the mistake of sending them to another country. I'm sorry, Neil. At this point, blue states are like another country. I've never seen anything like this in all of my years. I've never seen anything like this. I cannot imagine living behind that blue wall. I cannot imagine waking up with Walz as my governor, with Fry as my mayor. I cannot imagine waking up with Gavin Newsom, who put a tweet out that said FAFO today on. Now, we all know it was the little millennial. I almost said a very bad word. I'm not going to. You can put whatever expletive you want behind that. We all know it was the millennials that are running his Twitter feed, X, whatever you want to call it. But he was referring to a liberal federal judge upholding his redistricting plan in the state, his congressional redistricting, and his tweet was FAFO from a sitting governor of the largest state in this country. What does that tell you about where we are? On the heels of this buffoon Walz in Minnesota yesterday, looking at a camera, inciting violence while it's ongoing, saying, continue to do what you're doing, continue to do it peacefully, knowing he's inciting violence because it's not peaceful. We see the videos, ladies and gentlemen. You can believe your lying eyes because they're not lying. He doesn't want you to. He thinks you're stupid. In the meantime, he's telling you to get out there and film them and to hold these people accountable. You need to square this for me, Neil, somehow.
Mark, when we talk, right, we talk about, we talk about things as a public safety problem, as like an economic problem, as a social justice problem, as a political, but for the left, everything is a political problem. How do I turn this to my political advantage? Example, they couldn't turn the
hold on to the example, Neil, because we're taking a break. I apologize.
That's all right, man.
Breaks frustrate me as well, too. But you do TV, you understand breaks and commercials and all that, ladies and gentlemen. This is a national radio broadcast, so bear with us. We'll be back. Breaks are 4 minutes. We'll be back right after this. Got to get the business done right now. Neil McCabe, we'll go right back to it. I'm just going to turn the mic over to him when we come back. If you have some time during the break, please visit all of our great partners. Today, we are focusing on Blackout Coffee, blackoutcoffee.com. I'm drinking it right here in the studio in a big red Yeti cup. You can be doing the same thing. blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. We'll be right back. Following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back to the show. CZ Studios fired up for you. This is a Patriot Mobile phone I'm holding in my hands, ladies and gentlemen. If you're on the radio, well, you just have to trust that I'm holding up a Patriot Mobile phone. If you're watching, you can see the phone. I am holding it up, and it is Patriot Mobile activated phone. And I want to make this point. Yesterday, if you're probably aware, Verizon network went down entirely across the country. If you had a Patriot Mobile phone, which uses all of the towers, you didn't go down. Now, AT&T put a little smart aleck deal out there and said, hey, it wasn't us. It was the other guy. Next time AT&T goes down, which it did a few months ago, pretty bold statement coming from AT&T. Patriot Mobile is still active. Patriot Mobile uses a combination of all of their towers across the country, and you're able to actually have a different line on different towers, so you always have service. Even if one goes down, you've got another number that ties right into yours. Patriot Mobile is the real deal. They support the Second Amendment. Make sure to check it out at patriotmobile.com/AAR. Best thing you can do, ladies and gentlemen. This country's in difficult times. We've got to support our own. If we don't support our own, we're not going to be here. It's pretty much that simple. So support these companies that support Armed American Radio. It works for all of us all the way around. I can promise you that. All right, we're back in the CZ studios with you. Let's go back to Neil McCabe. Neil, if you would, the microphone is yours. Please finish your thoughts.
When you're dealing with the left, everything is a political problem. And so we'll talk about national security problems or economic problems or education problems or public safety problems. And we're actually we're looking for solutions. We see what's causing us trouble. How do we fix this? For the left, everything is a political problem. How can I turn this situation to my political advantage? And so you look at, say, why do we have mail-in ballots where you can just drop off 50 ballots at town hall and it gets counted? The Democrats and the left could never turn the corner on voter ID. Everyone supports voter ID. Mm-hmm. Voter ID is so obvious. All demographics, everybody says, yes, you should have voter ID. And so the only way to get around voter ID is to do these ballots that you just drop in a box somewhere where a bunch of people fill it out, they drop it in a box and everybody counts. And they basically codified ballot stuffing. Well, this is the problem you have here with Minnesota. They could not turn the corner on immigration. Every time they tried to sell Americans on immigration, people were like, whoa, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. Like Greg was saying in the last segment, right? We see them in our schools. We see them in our emergency rooms. We see them in the supermarkets. We see them living in towns we can't afford to live in that town, but they can afford to live in that town somehow, right?
Because they're living free. They're taking my money to live there, which is what's happening. The full boat ride. You're absolutely right, and it angers everybody.
Our kids are buried in college debt, and they get the full boat ride. Okay, no problem, whatever. So Americans are like saying, we're not into this, actually. But what they were able to do is they were able to show the police or the law enforcement officers in a bad light. They're violent, they're crazy, and people are suffering, and people are being dragged out of cars, and they have heightened it to make it seem like it's a more outrageous situation than it actually is.
Well, now, therein lies the danger from media. Therein lies danger from media. So I just wanted to throw that in.
They zoom in. Mm-hmm. They zoom in on this stuff. They create the confrontations. They agitate. They taunt. They threaten. These police officers are law enforcement officers, these ICE officers, the Border Patrol officers, they are on edge because they are constantly, their vehicles are getting rammed. Their vehicles are getting blocked. They're having snowballs and ice and rocks and things thrown at them. Like, for instance, when that poor woman was shot last week, mm-hmm. right? The poet, right? This innocent poet. Well, her car was blocking a convoy mm-hmm. of ICE vehicles. Now, if you have any tactical training whatsoever, and you're in a movement with a column or a convoy, right? And someone blocks you from the front, You're waiting for someone to block you from the back,
Right.
and that becomes a kill zone. And it's like they create kill zones for these people. And I'm supposed to what? I'm supposed to just wait to get killed? It's not right. But most people get it. And so whatever the mainstream media can say whatever it wants, and they can generate all these phony poll numbers. The fact of the matter is Americans voted for this.
Mm-hmm.
They want it.
Overwhelmingly,
and frankly, they would resent the president if he didn't do it. So everybody's like, wow, the president hasn't done this. And the president everybody's talking about how the president doesn't fulfill his promises, and he promised us this, and he promised us this. And every night on the news, we're seeing it, and people are saying, this is what I voted for, and this is what I want.
You can see the evidence of that on some social media, which I don't like to rely on because the crazy wackos come out. And I don't know. I like when the left jumps in some of my feeds as well. You get some of the wildest, crazy comments. It's almost like these people just don't see what's happening. They don't see what's going on. They're not watching the same thing. They see things differently. You and I have talked. I've quoted you on this many, many times over the years, Neil. If you can't eat dinner with them, how can you what, Neil?
How can you have a country with them?
How can you have a country with them?
I'll tell you something else. We were talking before the election about how, if Harris won and Trump lost.
Oh, can you imagine the nightmare? Oh my gosh.
No, but what I was predicting, the SEC, the Southeast Conference, right, would break off, and all the states in the Southeast Conference would basically become their own country. And you already saw it under Biden, where guys were sending police and National Guard to each other. They were communicating with each other. And basically, a lot of these red states were basically functioning amongst themselves without even getting the federal government involved. Well, you're seeing that now on the blue side. And so, hey, what? Minnesota wants to leave? Adios.
Yeah, the problem with the blue states, Neil, is they can't kick the federal government out because they rely on too much funding from the federal government. Trump's already getting ready to cut that out. He's talking about now the Insurrection Act, which, quite frankly, should have already been instituted. Americans, look, ladies and gentlemen, the violence that you see comes from one party. It's left. Now, the media will tell you it's right. It's not. You watch it every day. You're watching it. These are left-wing loons. Now, violence is a huge concern. Our Second Amendment
Let me
is
talk about
critical.
the Insurrection Act.
Go ahead. It's yours.
They sell this Insurrection Act as this obscure 19th century law that's been on the dusty shelf somewhere.
Early 1800s.
John F. Kennedy used the Insurrection Act 3 times. Mississippi, Birmingham, University of Alabama, and he also, so Birmingham, University of Alabama, and University of Mississippi. When Eisenhower sent troops to Little Rock, Arkansas, he used the Insurrection Act. Presidents use the Insurrection Act all the time because it's like what it does is the posse comitatus law says that you can't use the military as law enforcement.
Yeah,
okay?
the Insurrection Act overrides that. It suspends that, and it federalizes the National Guard. And I think Trump would do that just to take away Waltz's threats. Now, as we go to the break here, when we come back, let's tie this to the Second Amendment and why it's so vital that we have it and why we fight for it every day when we see what's going on in the nation today. But, Neil, when you... 30 seconds. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I don't think Waltz survives this. Hopefully I'm right about that. I think he doesn't make it. I think he's going to be forced to resign. He has no shame, none whatsoever. Greg and I were talking during the break. This guy is so clueless. He has absolutely zero self-awareness whatsoever. Somehow he thinks that the vast majority of people in Minnesota support this level of violence, and they do not. The vast majority do not. Again, this is a small group of people, but they are doing incredible, terrible damage. Sadly, they have the ear of Democrats across the country. And that tells you something, ladies and gentlemen. The party is violent. It's that simple. How much more do you need to see? One more segment with the great Neil McCabe. We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away. They're back live. Never fails. Welcome back, guys. This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back. If you're watching the show on your TVs or anything, you can see the back of the card here. It gives you everything you need to know. Attorneys on Retainer, your membership number, phone numbers, all that fun stuff. Now, plans were finalized yesterday. I will be in Phoenix February 18th through the 23rd, broadcasting this show and the Sunday show from Phoenix, Arizona. Why will I be out there doing that? Well, A, I love Phoenix, Arizona. B, the AOR convention is at the Mesa Convention Center that weekend. So I'll be out there broadcasting. We will have a great time. Come out and see us, but you have to be a member to do so. All right. And there will be hundreds of people there. Believe me, this is the real deal. If you carry a gun, put this card in your wallet. It is $37 a month. attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. The website is beautiful. Go see the new landing page over there and watch the videos, read the commentary, understand the program, and then click buy and get this card in your wallet if you carry a firearm, ladies and gentlemen. It is the real deal. And I promise you, if you come out to Phoenix, we will have an absolute blast. AWR will be there. Ryan Petty will be there. Alan Gottlieb will be there. Jared Yanis will be there. I will be there. We will be having a great time speaking, meeting with all of you. So make that happen. Don't forget the rest of our partners too. Make sure to visit budsgunshop.com. Need some ammo? Bud's got you covered. Need a new barrel? Bud's got you covered. Whatever you need, Bud's Gun Shop has it. budsgunshop.com, our exclusive online retailers. Please support these businesses. The firearms industry is having a tough time right now, and we all need your support. So please visit them, okay? Even if it's just for a box of ammo, please do that. budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. And all of our great partners, you can find all of them at armedamericanradio.com. Don't forget to join the NRA. Neil McCabe, welcome back. So my prediction about Waltz, I don't think Waltz survives this. I don't. I really, truly don't. I think the pressure on him with what's happening, why he got out of the race for a third term, believe me, he wouldn't have done that if he felt he was going to win that election, because he has no shame whatsoever. None. Oh, he knows. I think he's aware of that. I don't think he survives the calls for his resignation. Could I be right about that? Or is it just wishful thinking that we finally rid ourselves of that buffoon?
Well, the bottom line for any of these decisions is the money there? If you could raise the money, it doesn't matter what you look like in the polls. If you could raise the money, you're going to give it a go.
Yeah.
He just couldn't raise the money. And then when he went to, I'm sure he went to the Democratic Governors Association. They said, hey, listen, I'm in trouble. Can you help me out? I ran for vice president a year ago. And they were like, sorry, Charlie.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you, right?
For me lately.
Yeah, how did that work out for you? I don't know if anybody's got the stone. Yeah, thanks. I'm not sure anybody's got the stones to say, look, all you got to do is go back to the Somali community that's been taking American taxpayer dollars. I'm sure they've got the money to fund you. Unbelievable stuff going on in this country. Go ahead.
I think what's going to happen. Is that people are going to turn state's evidence. Mm-hmm. When you have FBI agents and DOJ people all over the place, and people are going to come forward, and we're going to find out just exactly what the governor and what the local law enforcement knew about what was going on. The people who are authorizing these payments for the state of Minnesota, literally stealing billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so
it's not going to turn out well for them. It is not going to turn out well for them. And I believe that the vast majority of Minnesotans might wake up. It is possible, because Minnesota has had a Republican governor before. It would be nice to see. All right. So now you've got calls from the left to arm up, to face off with ICE agents, going as far as saying this is why we have a Second Amendment. No, that's not why we have a Second Amendment. Now, in their mind, they've just lost their minds, Neil. These people have lost their minds. Trump has not been in office 1 year yet. In 6 days, it will be 12-month anniversary. 6 days from now. They've got 3 more years to go. They're violent as all get out now. What the hell happens over the next 3 years, and why is it so important that we remain armed and vigilant in this country today against this lunacy?
Well, I'll tell you straight up about, we're talking about Minnesota, right? Mm-hmm. Minnesota is a culturally conservative state. And because of rigging and because of unions and because of sort of unnatural things, Democrats have had a lot of success there. But you go outside of those cities, that is an extremely conservative state.
Agreed.
And so the people in Minnesota, they're also looking at this thing saying, what the frick, right? And I think what the left is doing now is they're making an all-out push because they're absolutely desperate, because they know the tide is going against them. It used to be they would just win elections. And I'm old enough to remember when the Democratic Party dominated this country. Certainly, they just won elections.
No, held the House for over 40 years before 1994 and
Now,
Gingrich and everything else. Right. Now they're in the toilet.
Now it's court cases. Now it's rigging. Now it's these crazy rules. It's regulations. It's this. It's that. It's like every trick in the book. It's a federal judge because they don't have the political support. And when people say, oh, well, people are afraid of Trump, I will tell you, there's no senator and there's no congressman who is afraid of Donald Trump. What they're afraid of is Trump's voters. And because Trump delivers the voters, that's what they're afraid of. If Trump didn't have the support of the people, he would be ignored. He's just one man.
Does this
he's
country,
a man who got almost 80 million votes.
Do you believe,
and that doesn't go away?
No, it doesn't. Do you believe that Donald Trump has changed the political landscape permanently?
1,000%.
Permanently. And I say that, I mean permanently, because the left and the establishment rhinos, the McConnells, they just won't go away. Well, that's because of the trough. Okay.
I'll say this.
But is it possible that we go back to that establishment again? The Democrats take over and go back to all of that? I don't think it happens.
We obviously change the country forever. That's a big statement. But you can change it for 30 or 40 or 50 years, right? You know, FDR changed the country. Trump changed the country in the same way. And I'll give you a sort of a big construct is that after World War II, we remade the economy and we remade the world and created this system, right, that we're basically on. So we have been in a post-war system for basically 80 years. And what I'm telling you is that Trump recognized 10 years ago that this post-war system doesn't work for regular people anymore. And we are actually what one economist is calling a pre-war economy, not post-war, pre-war, because something's going to happen and we have to get ready. And that's what Trump is doing. Trump is getting us ready. He's rebuilding our manufacturing, rebuilding our economy. He's getting our regular Americans back to work. He's getting the food straightened out. He's going to get our education system straightened out because there's a war coming. I don't know where it's going to be, but Trump will get us ready.
Yeah, well, the Democrats are pushing for a civil war in this country with the nonsense. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard why your Second Amendment is so important. And I can tell you this, that, we don't get everything as fast as we want it, but Trump is hardening up and supporting in ways that we've never seen in a previous administration in this country, not in my lifetime anyway, and likely not yours as well, ever do. So take heed of that. Neil McCabe, I love you, man. I love you so much. And where can people watch on TV? You got 10 seconds. Hurry up.
Real America's Voice, and I'm at Report McCabe on all the socials. And hello to all the knuckleheads at Conversations.
Neil McCabe, I love it. Real America's Voice. Guys, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow because they don't want us to. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it very much. Let's get Neil's mug off there, even though we like looking at Neil. We will see you tomorrow. Mañana. Tomorrow is Friday. I thank you for being here today. Thanks so very much. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Always fun to have Neil on. I tried to get him in yesterday, but that didn't work out. We had a lot of things going on behind the scenes. So that's why you had an encore. In the meantime, we'll likely, as always, have Paul Markle, the student of the gun. He's always feisty. He's fun to have on a Friday. And then we've got, of course, a monster cast building for you, as always. We'll see John Lott come back. We're going to reach out to Mr. Gottlieb, see if he can make it. He hasn't been on the show for a while, and a lot of you miss him. So we'll see if we can get Alan back on the program, if it fits in his schedule. Otherwise, stay safe. Watch the news, and remember, believe your lying eyes, okay? Because they're not lying. What you're seeing is really happening. Don't believe the media. And we will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Stay safe out there today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in.